sé que tienen las flores, llorona, las flores del campo santo. Que cuando las mueve el viento, llorona, parece que están llorando. Que cuando las mueve el viento, llorona, parece que están llorando. Ay, llorona, llorona, llorona de azul celeste. Ay, llorona, llorona.
My name is Gabriel Mendoza. I am the director of Galería La Mano Mágica in downtown Oaxaca. I don't know, what else?
How long have you been here?
We've been here for 32 years. It was founded by Arnulfo Mendoza and Mary Jane Gagne.
Okay.
Arnulfo Mendoza was one of the great masters of weaving in Mexico.
You said these were just brought out. So are these for the day of the celebration? Is this specifically for that? And you said they go about for how many? It's about 6,000 pesos, correct?
Yeah, 6,750.
Yeah.
But the skulls, right?
Right. But you said one of the artworks sold for $1.5 million.
Yes, in 1996. Yeah, well, Alfonso Castillo is in the Book of Great Masters of Folk Art of Mexico. And it seems that the foundation of Harpelou, Sotheby's, and others did a big exhibit in New York, folk art, and they took it to Sotheby's, and then they sold it. And one of the only pieces it sold was this big Tree of Life by Alfonso Castillo Horta, who was the grandfather of who's making these, of Alfonso Castillo, the young man over there.
And he said these are all hand painted.
Yes, this is all hand painted. So why are they so renowned, this family? Because the trees of life were normally thought about like a tree of life. So there was more of a registration of that. But Alfonso Castillo Horta, the grandfather of Alfonso Castillo, who's making these, decided to make them into folkloric themes. This means masks, devils, and then he went into the 4 elements, so fire, water, air, and that's how he started creating a new series of fashion on the trees of life, the skulls, and all the tradition of Izúcar de Matamoros.
Very nice. Oh, thank you so much for showing.
So this is brilliant. So how did your evolution take place? So you're the director of this now, but where did you come from?
Well, actually, my father was a great master in weaving. So since I was 13, I learned how to weave. And all my life, I've been exposed to this because my mother was the director, my father was an artist. All who I consider almost like uncles and aunts are artists, or they're writers, or they're poets, or they're in the cooking. So everything's very cultural in my life during I grew up. I'm actually a veterinarian by profession, but then I came back home and I directed the gallery once my father passed away. With an associate of mine, and well, we learned from zero. I mean, my father had a great career, my mother as well. She wrote a book on food and traditions of Teotitlán del Valle, and then, well, I kind of came along learning a little bit of everything, and that's how I ended up doing this.
Talk about your weaving. I see in here there's a lot of different artworks of weaving as we were talking about. So is this for show or is it on?
No, these right now are the only 2 looms we have functioning here.
Okay.
So this all the production here is from here. We really don't get from anywhere else. We dye our wool and our silk and other kind of materials here as well.
Very nice.
Yeah, and so well, these is kind of like the result of this.
Oh, this looks like it's definitely themed for the.
Day of the Dead.
Yes, definitely.
Yes, that's one of our newest designs. It contains wool, silk, all dyed with cochinilla, indigo, pericon, and even the flower of Day of the Dead, cempasúchil or marigold. It gives us these oranges. So
Gabriel, how much was something like this sell for?
This is.
that one's 10,000 pesos.
Okay, it's beautiful.
I mean, we bring the silver and gold threads from Japanese factories.
Sure.
They like make these threads because it is industrial for this mother for us to use the metal inside this, right?
And look at the cochinilla. Obviously, are these local beetles or
Yes,
local
yes.
beetles
Those
as well?
are all local from kind of the Atzompa
Okay.
area, just 30 minutes from
Sure.
here. And the indigo or the blue is from the Istmo. It's just about 4 hours on the edge of between Oaxaca and Chiapas. And that's where we get it from. And well, sometimes they send it, sometimes we go.
Is this one of your pieces?
This is one of my designs, yes.
One of your designs?
Yes.
It's lovely. You can see the passion inside us. I think you're the person I need to talk to anyway about this. So, Dia de los Muertos, obviously a long-standing tradition,
Yes.
and particularly in Mexico, but now moving out to other Latin countries as well.
Of course.
So, if you have a moment and care to give us your concept of the background of the entire Day of the Dead and Dia de los Muertos and the significance, the meaning, I'd really like to get that from someone who is both a native, but certainly as enmeshed in this artistically as you are.
Well, I think Day of the Dead is a lot of things. I mean, it goes from the concept of the first day that like they talk about the 27 that like animals come back,
Sure.
you know. Then 28, 29, 30, 30th, 31st, where children come back. Then after that, first and second, you know, the day that the adults come back, and then on the second day, you say goodbye to them. The altars, I mean, they have different symbolisms of what you put. You can put food, you can put decorations, photos. I mean, it's very personal in the end. Like everybody has it, every family, every village, every place in Mexico has different things that they put on the altars. But usually one of the common things is that it's an altar, it's high, it has pictures, it has fruit, it has peanuts, it has candy. This is our altar over there that we made here.
Okay.
Some are my grandparents, some is my father. I mean, you put the essence as well, food out. I mean, in my culture, I'm from Teotitlán del Valle.
Okay.
All right, and it's 30 minutes from Oaxaca.
Okay.
And their concept of the altar and all of this is very, very old. So even from putting copal, which is the resin of the tree, and you burn it with charcoal, and you go around the house cleaning the house before the spirits come in.
Okay.
You know, and then after that you sit down and have a meal in the altar room where your altar is done. And that's where kind of everything happens.
Okay.
Just on a normal basis even, but especially in Muertos is very assertive, this tradition. We have tamales, we have barquillos, which is with mole amarillo for 2 days. And I mean, there's all kinds of like very specific traditions to this. But Day of the Dead in itself, in all of Mexico, is the return of the dead, is the return of the people we love to our houses. So we have to prepare, we have to clean, we have to make, you know, a lot of preparations before they come.
So it's a time of joy and happiness, actually, as you're bringing back these spirits back into your lives.
That's correct. That's correct. It's a moment of you remembering them, celebrating them.
Okay.
It's, you know, death is considered in a lot of ways, in my father's words, the return. But you're as well. When you die, you re-encounter everybody. So, like at that point, Day of the Dead is considered. They come back to celebrate, but then when you die, you re-encounter everybody.
Well, that makes sense,
You know?
because this show that we have dies, yes, but the energy that's us continues on.
Exactly.
So it only makes sense that it would come back to some place or want to be associated with something that it had fond memories or it's a life with.
Yes, well, it's considered even in a very abstract way, you go into a party. When you die, you go back into a party. But this takes a 7 days or 49 days to get to heaven or to get wherever place you're going to. And this is why it's so important that when somebody dies, there's certain rituals of like in this matter, everybody sweeps the house, and all the garbage and everything that came with that energy goes to the grave with them. So that's one of the things they put in the grave, everything they picked up that day that the person died. So, I mean, there's just a lot. And then they go with the copal, they clean it. But, I mean, that's when somebody dies, you know. But Day of the Dead is kind of the same little small ritual of, you know, the smells, the food, you even have to put a glass of water. That's very important, to put a glass of just simple water. Because water seems to have a very important connection with death and the other places. So one of the very important things is to just put a glass of water.
Well, water does have its own energy.
Exactly.
It's often used as a portal for the paranormal. So
yes.
That's
yes.
marvelous.
And water's always recycled. We were talking about this last night, that we use the same water that we have for, you know, all of eternity.
All time, yeah.
And it rains, it falls to the ground, it gets evaporated back up.
Sure.
It's just a
Condensate,
revolving
yeah.
cycle at all times.
Sure.
Uh-huh.
So I like that.
I mean, if you go to Mitla, Mitla is this archaeological site 45 minutes away from Oaxaca.
Okay.
And Mitla is the city of the dead. I mean, that's it all year, no matter what.
Okay.
Yeah, that was what it was considered. And if you look at all the symbols and you look at these weavings, these symbols are in Mitla. And all the symbols in Mitla are water. They're waves, they're different shapes of water. And so why in this place that's considered the city of death, everything's water, you know, and that has a lot to do with that symbolism. And we use it a lot in the weavings because it was kind of taken from Mitla, some of the designs in the weavings, but all of them are different kinds of ways to see water. You know, still water, waves, I mean, all kinds of symbols of water. And I think that's the most important thing. If they're talking about the dead and then they go and see the symbolism and it's all water, then there must be some kind of ancient thought of relationship between water and death. Yeah. I mean, there's all these saying like the dog, the Mayan belief of the dog, the Xoloscuincle that dies with the person and he will be the one that crosses him over the river of the dead. Mm-hmm. I mean, all of that is water. In other cultures, I mean, like the Greek, you know, they put the coins on the eye for they can pay the...
Chiron, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly, for they can cross the river in the boat, right? So, I mean, all of that is not only Mexican, is a very worldly thought of water has some relationship with death.
Well, I have a question about this because I've spent a little time following the Mayan trail, and this looks very Mayan to me, and yet, if you were to tell me this was more of an Aztec design with the influence of Cortez going back to the 1500s here, are they just similar, or which is?
Well, this one's not Mayan, neither. It's Zapotec.
Okay.
And I think a lot of cultures crossed over during years.
Okay.
I mean, I've seen designs like this even in Ecuador.
Okay.
I think the trade between Mexico and other countries like Peru, Ecuador, South America in general has always existed.
Sure.
And I think a lot of symbols have crossed over during many centuries. I mean, I don't think it's new. I don't think it's old. I think it's just has been trademarked. It's like you think about, you know, where did spaghetti get invented? Spaghetti, they say started in China, but in Italy it got reinvented, and then, you know. So it's this kind of same idea that symbols, I mean, get crossed over in so many ways.
So basic Mesoamerican.
Yes.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Fantastic. So can we walk towards your altar?
Yes, please.
So I hate asking this question, but I'm going to. So I am I'm smitten with Oaxaca in the few days that we've been here, and I would consider actually putting a business here as well, just so I could spend more time here. This is rather extraordinary. Why are you in Oaxaca? Obviously, the culture, the roots, your tradition, your family is here.
Yeah.
I get that, but certainly with your skill set,
Yes.
you could be anywhere in the world with these objects, right?
I don't know about that, but I mean, I grew up in Oaxaca, and I mean, I love the food, the culture. You know, I love everything about Oaxaca. So leaving Oaxaca is very hard. I mean, the climate's perfect, sunny days. You know, rains only three months out of the year.
Sure.
I mean, it is hot between March and April, but I mean, it's 1 or 2 months that, you know, can bear with. But the rest of the year is perfect. Doesn't get too cold, doesn't get too hot, and doesn't snow. Days don't go too short. I mean, you name it.
And clearly, things to you are far more important than just chasing money, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, Mexico in general has lots of richness and culture and a lot of history.
Yes.
And this history makes us very proud about it.
Yes.
You know, and if we come from a community or somewhere else, it makes us even more prouder because we conserve a lot of things, a lot of thoughts, a lot of ideas, a lot of rituals, and they're very important to us. I mean, me growing up in Teotitlán, not 100%, but at least a 50% between the city and Teotitlán. It's not very far. In my interior side, I find myself that I do a lot of things that they do out there. I needed to feel complete, to do like Day of the Dead. I have to make my altar, and I have to make it the right way. I need to, put copal around my house to clean it. And I know it's something that, symbolically doesn't mean a lot in a very physical way, but for me it means a lot in a very esoteric way.
We have seen many altars in the last couple of days, and this one really seems to be incredibly well composed, thoughtful, and from the heart. And this is nice to see.
Yes, well, it's very personal. You see, every year I've decided that I go and pick the marigolds.
Okay.
So I go out there at 6 in the morning, pick them, come back to the gallery, and then make the altar. So I get to see the nature, I get to pick them up. I even sometimes get to see when they grow it before, because I go and buy it before. I mean, I don't grow it because I don't have enough land, but if I could, I would probably grow it for myself and then go and cut it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But you get this sense of like really doing something very special for the people that are not here anymore. I mean, I have my grandmother, I have my father, I have, my other grandmother, I have friends and people that have gone through this gallery as well. Artists, artisans, that sometimes are even very important, but, I consider them all my life to be like aunts, uncles, friends, dear friends. I mean, not necessarily Mexican, but there's something very magical, and that's why we're called La Mano Magic as well, because this place has lots of magic with creativity. So we try to make our altar to be according to that. And so, like this time, like Boris Spider or Loredo, his name, he made these pictures of my father, of Tamayo, of Rodolfo Morales, who are three very important artists in different ways. And he made very symbolic niches with, watermelons for Tamayo, Rodolfo Morales with flying women, my father with his weaving. And he dedicated this. And he put something very important. He came to see me and said, I want to put something personal of your father inside it. And I said, sure. And so I gave him a few little things that he had, and I have a little few things of his, and he put it inside this niche. And so now symbolically it has a little part of him. And so that's why it's so important for it to be on the altar,
Well, this is fantastic. So most of the skulls that I recollect that we've seen are anything from the sugar skulls to ceramic skulls, things of that nature. Brass, bronze, what have we got down here?
Well, we are a gallery.
Yes.
Yes, she's an artist from Torreon, Belia Leiva, and she did a skull with bronze. And she sent it to me, and we had it in an exhibit here. And I said, well, it's according to the date. So let's put it on the altar, I've never had a bronze skull there, but I think it went perfectly with it. And I think she would enjoy having pictures of the skull on the altar because, it's new, it's creative. Because that's what we do here as well. Try to do creative stuff all the time, and the people get impressed to see like this tapestry is of my design as well. But we didn't put normally people make a sand tapestry. And I decided to put a wool tapestry of my design on it, something original.
What have we here?
It's a mask. It's a mask from the coast of Oaxaca.
Okay.
And yes, it's a devil, but
yes.
but it's not a devil in itself. It's really a mask. It's something symbolic, something my father really loved. He loved masks. He loved collecting masks, and I think the devil is only kind of very symbolically for a very Christian part of the world, something bad. In Afro-Mexican culture, it's actually an old god, an old African god, with his tongue sticking out, right? So it's not something bad, it's actually a good god that gave fortune back then.
Well, the tongue is forked, though.
Yes. Well, that's something of my own creativity and contemporary thought. But in the end, it's not something evil, it's something that we're making fun of. I'm making fun of something that people believe is evil.
So everything is for sale. Obviously, not the personal items or the familial items.
Yes.
But like the skull, I'm sure that's for sale.
Yes.
How much would that be?
The skull, according to the artist, is 38,000 pesos.
38,000 pesos.
Yes.
And this, not sand, but this woven tapestry that you have here, the
Yes.
devil's head, the mask.
Yes. That one's 25,000 pesos.
25,000
Yes.
pesos.
Yes, and it has, again, it has silk, it's all natural dyes, it's wool, Lincoln wool, and as well it has gold and silver threads.
So your website is?
Well, my website is still not up, but it's www.lamanomagica.com.
Okay.
We can look us on Facebook, Instagram. We're up everywhere. We attend people. We do special orders, crafts, art. If you want Rufino Tamayo, if you want just some tin hearts, I mean, we do it all. We do it from the expensive to the not so expensive.
Do you ever go up on tour, go to the U.S. or something? Would you do an art show?
Well, my mother and my father did lots of that. I mean, they were in Chicago, they were in Palo Alto, they were in many places, and they showed a lot of Mexican art up there. I mean, I even, right now I'm working with a gallery called Sin Título. They just did a pop-up show in downtown San Francisco. And I mean, I'm working with them, sending things. Our show right now about the tarot, it is what as well they've been selling, and I mean, I've been selling. I do a lot of shipping to the US. I mean, during the pandemic, that's what happened. People couldn't come, but they wanted beautiful things, beautiful items. They wanted things for the altars. And so, you know, we kept sending things and getting stuff ready for people, you know.
It's lovely, Gabriel. Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much for taking this time. And we will post some material on you, and we'll send you a clip of this. I hope you enjoy it.
Thank
My
you.
pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Nice to meet you.